start and person join us, we can do that. We'll try to be.
Apologies for being a minute or two late.
It's good. It's as good as according to the minutes. We convened at 4:04 last time, so we're ahead of track record. All right, I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. Can we have a roll call, please?
John Chang.
Present.
Victor Ryan.
Present. Here. Okay, so with a quorum present, the meeting is now underway. This meeting, we are going to begin with a very rare and somber moment. We have, to everybody's great surprise, lost a member of the committee, Gerard Zelnick, who has been active in the district, I think, for quite some time in a supporting role. His family notified us fairly shortly after our last meeting, I believe, that he had passed away. And he was very much a valued member of the committee, was the vice chair, and as I say, has been of service to the district. And I think various committee members have known him over time. And we do sorely miss him. So I would like to ask for a moment of silence to recognize his passing. And our thoughts are very much with Gerard's family in this time of grief. If any other committee members have a couple of words that you would like to say about Gerard or staff members, I do know that there was quite some reaction.
Yeah, it was a pleasure working with him. He was easy to work with. I always admire somebody that gives up his time. There's a time and money thing that goes with life, and when something like this happens, it makes you realize just how important time is. I have to express my sympathies to his family.
Okay, thank you. I think with that, we will move on through our agenda. And item number 3 is public comment on non-agendized items. Public comments on issues not on the agenda are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per individual unless the chair elects to limit or extend the amount of per speaker time. Seeing no members of the public here, I think we will close the comment period and move on to agenda item 4, which is an action for approval of the minutes from the September 24th meeting. I do have a couple of comments. Does anybody else have comments or corrections on the minutes? I'll add my quick comments that there were several items in the minutes that had associated materials that I think are in line with things that we do want to be sharing with the public. And I would like to make sure that we go back and have those added to the website so that the public has them. we had an item for the committee 25-26 calendar, and having that calendar there as a link, I think would be valuable. The annual report is actually the first and to date only official output of this committee, and I think that should be linked in there. The financial update on 24-25 revenues and expenditures. We do have it reflected on this current agenda, but since we looked at it on the September meeting, it probably should be there as well. And then finally, the progress report for September should probably be linked out there. And I do plan to return to this a little bit in the next upcoming agenda item. So none of those are changes to the minutes for approval, but just actions I'd like to see out of them. With that, does anybody have any further comments or corrections to make, or is there a motion for approval of the minutes?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have unanimous approval of the minutes. Okay, then we go on to the discussion on a CBOC email. And this is, hopefully I'm going to be able to keep it a little shorter than my usual track record. This is me trying to bring the committee up to speed on some adventures that Ms. Gong and I have had following a communication from a member of the public, which has given us a couple of avenues of exploration and thought. I want to bring everybody current and have a kind of a clear status on where this should lead us from here. Prior to the September meeting, it was, I think, just a couple of weeks before the meeting, Ms. Gong was contacted by a member of the public who wanted to know how he would go about contacting and providing input to the CBOC committee, in addition to the avenue that's there of public speaking in a meeting. And the decision was made there to offer a Sequoia-based email address of cboc@seq.org, which this correspondent then used to send an email that was directed to the board chair, myself, or the committee chair, myself only. And it had two major thrusts to it. The first was basically a whistleblower report of something that this correspondent felt was amiss in district handling of bond funds, which I shared with Ms. Gong for investigation and action by the staff. And they did a lot of work and gave me a couple of pieces of feedback. The first being that everything about the point that was raised was outside of Measure W funds, and therefore outside of any area of responsibility of this committee. And that as committee chair, I had taken the full appropriate action to us by drawing it to the attention of staff. But furthermore, it was reported back eventually that this was not a matter of news to the district, that it was a matter that had been under legal review and handling by the district, and had been completely cleared of any concern and wrongdoing before this came to us. It was not new news, and that a correspondence was going out to that letter writer, giving that status to them, and the closure of the issue. And with that, since it included concerns about potential litigation, it is not a matter for further public discussion, but it has been raised to the awareness of the staff, and staff has handled it, and we do not have a concern falling on our committee. The second chunk of information that came in through this one correspondence and a few follow-ups was concerns about the committee's composition, transparency, availability of information to the public, access to the website, and a number of other things. Many of which were actually very constructive input, and I've worked with Ms. Gong to make sure that we do have a lot of correct reflections put in there. So we currently have the website up, which is great. And you can see that we have quite a number of links now that are going to all of the documents that are involved in our meetings. These are all the public documents that we are reviewing and using to prepare for and execute a public meeting. And as a record to the public, they should be available. And I think we've beefed up how much we're putting out there. And so then, as I mentioned earlier, looking back at the September 24th meeting, there were those 4 items, which were, I think, for agenda items 5 through 8 that are not yet in the September 24th meeting. And I do think we should go back and have those included there as links. But we now have a standard there of having all of the documents that are part of the background for any meeting to be linked there for public availability. And if we could now scroll back to the committee members, that was, you can just hand that up. I think it's higher up, in between. There. Okay. This had not been there at the time that the email came in. So we now have not only the names of the current members, but the categories of membership represented, and 3 things to note. Gerard is not reflected, and the local business organization position is indicated as vacant. And Peter Baran is a new applicant who was appointed officially to the committee in last night's board meeting, and was informed today that appointment has gone through. It was too short a notice for him to come up to speed and arrange his calendar to be here with us this evening, but he will be joining us from the next meeting going forward. And I do believe staff is actively working to recruit continuously to this one vacant position to make sure that we fill out. So this too is now available to the public. And then the last couple of things I would like to bring into the conversation is Gong shared with all of you earlier today a letter that came from Dennis Oliver Kelly attorneys looking at our district responsibilities and the obligations of the CBOC. And again, this was in response to both parts of that email trail, what would be the responsibilities of the CBOC in response to any sort of a whistleblower information coming in, and also in terms of public communication. And the council basically said the committee is there to be sharing information and advice to the public, whether or not the district is in compliance with accountability and expenditure requirements of Prop 39. Other than informing the public about compliance, the California Education Code does not grant the committee any other role or responsibilities, does not have authority to review non-bond funded expenditures, whether capital projects or operating expenses. Any inquiries related to non-bonded funding expenditures or matters not pertaining should be directed to the Board of Trustees or through district staff here. And the committee has a role of informing the public rather than vice versa. The committee is not expected to maintain a channel for incoming communication for the public that's monitored on any regular basis. I would like to suggest that the committee consider anyhow going a little bit above and beyond that and continue to have that cboc@seek.org email address to publicize it on the website, to have it come to just the committee chair and the chief business officer, so that there is a public way to communicate, but it's not really indicative of kind of community call to action for the committee, which is not there, but it is one more communication channel to the district by the public. And I would welcome committee thought and feedback and any alternative thinking about that as to whether that goes above and beyond and we should not do it, whether it does not go far enough and it should include the whole committee, or other thoughts. It's presented as a suggestion for your feedback.
If we do this, and it's just you and the chief business officer, I believe you said would be copied on it, would it be the kind of thing at the next meeting, it would be shown what was received, just so that if anything were to come up for us as a board, we're aware? Is that a good thing or a bad thing to even ask to do?
So my suggestion to that, and I ask for feedback from staff, both of you, if possible, that anything that goes to the district that involves in activity by district staff and a response to the correspondent, I think it would be reasonable for that response to be copied to the entire committee or be CC'd one way or the other, so that we know that the committee has been used as a channel for communication and that the district has discharged an appropriate response to it. Does that sound like an appropriate response to that concern? And does that sound like an appropriate response to staff? You might want to hit your speaker button if you're. Yeah.
Somebody sent something, a letter, and some of it was, I guess, the fruit of this is, the website that we put it together. And all this was going on without the rest of the committee knowing about it. Not good. Okay. if I'm going to be on the committee and somebody might might whistle blow and I can't hear it, even if I know it's not a worthy issue, yeah, I have a problem with not knowing what that's going to be. So in the future, I know what my role here is. If you don't trust me in my role, then pick somebody else. But I think you ought to let me at least see if somebody contacts the committee, we at least ought to see it. I just want to be on the record for that. Okay. So apparently, look, I don't want to get in, I don't want to be kicking over any rocks that I don't have to kick over here. But if I'm not doing my job by at least checking out what the issues are with the public. Now we're going to have an email, and from what I understand, Alan, you want the email to go to you, and then it's going to be responded to. But when it's responded to, then we'll know about it. I don't like that idea. Okay, I'd at least like to see what the issue is before somebody decides on it, because it's our committee here that's out there in the public exposed. So yeah, I got a problem with that idea. Take down the website. If we're not going to do it that way, take down the website and the email, because I'd rather not have any control over what's going on there. That's me.
So I would agree that if there was a communication, it should be to all committee members and not exclusively to one member of the committee. As far as taking down the website, no, I think it has to be on, and we need to have that email as a form of communication or as a form of the public communicating to this committee.
To the points being made, I mean, I'm under the impression that we're being informed, right? This does seem to start turning into something where we're proactively now communicating potentially with the public. Victor, to your point, I would have all those same concerns. And a website's one thing, an email inbound to us that suddenly where we're expected to hear things and comment from like an advisory or an oversight role where we have no control over anything. That's why I started asking the question about, like, would we at least know what was sent? Because there's a situation here where we get involved in something and have no knowledge of it. Furthermore, is that even right or fair, to the point of maybe there shouldn't be an email address?
Yeah.
Okay, so I am hearing consensus across the committee that this kind of middle ground between not having the email at all and having the email go to the entire committee is not a comfortable middle ground. So what I had been proposing in the conversations I'd been having with Ms. Gong about this while we were kind of working through this was something similar to what the board does, where it is the board chair or the board president who responds to a correspondent on board email saying the board has received and acknowledged your input. And then the matter is either determined to be something agendized and dealt with in public by the board, or is handed to staff that will include a response to both the original correspondent and the board. And according to my reading of this letter from our attorneys, that is more than the one-way communication that is intended with the CBOC, which might lead to a determination that we should not bother with putting that email out there. That members of the public have the avenue that is called out in Ed Code of speaking to the board or to the commission during commission meetings in person, but there is no call out in Ed Code for an email communication without presence. So this was an idea of, could we leave that avenue open without getting all that elaborate? And I guess I would say I am comfortable with either end of the spectrum. I don't have any particular interest in excluding any part of the committee from hearing and seeing what comes in on the email if it exists. I don't have any problem under this legal advice with not maintaining that email. It feels to me like I would like to have the public have an avenue open to communicate with the committee, but we are not legally responsible to do so. That phrasing really is because the role of the committee is to inform the public rather than vice versa. The committee isn't expected to maintain a channel for incoming communications from the public that is monitored on any regular basis. As volunteers, committee members are not expected to be available or accessible to the public other than during committee meetings. So again, it's a question of whether this group of committee members feels that it is right for us to be more accessible than what we are advised or not.
Has the email already been published? I mean, it's already out there?
It was not put on the website. It was basically given in response to that one correspondent and has not gone anywhere else.
So the public's not aware that there is an existing email. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's good then.
So it doesn't sound like we should even have a public comment area here in our agenda.
The thing is that Ed Code in defining
Are we
the,
part of the ed code?
yes,
Yes, we
yeah,
are.
Ed Code has its sections, starts with 1528 and 15278, 15280, 282, 15284, 15286, 15288 talk about the CBOC and what its obligations are and things like that. And that legal review that we received is based on that. So it calls out very specifically speakers in public meeting and meetings being noted on the website. It talks about there must be a website that provides all of the public documents to the public. So again, I think at this point we are talking about whether or not this particular committee and its members feel that to us it is appropriate to provide an email channel to be a remote and between meetings expansion of what the speaker cards in public meetings provide, or whether we do not have a reason to step beyond the Ed Code requirements and do that. And so what I would say is,
Do we need to have some kind of vote here? Just whether or not we're going to do that or not?
yeah, I think it's a matter of direction. I don't think it's a formal vote, but I think it's
Well, I prefer not to have the email. Because I'd rather just, if somebody's going to have an issue, they can come in and talk to us. I don't want to hear about this months later that something happened and things going on with, committee that night. Yeah, no email.
So I think based on the input we've already had, I want to say, I think what we're talking about now is if we have the email, it would go to the entire committee. It would be the committee chair who responds to the writer saying, the committee has received your email and is sharing it with staff for action and response. And that would be the extent of our involvement.
So we wouldn't have any input.
Right. We do not have any
The
authority.
chair that would- and legal, I imagine, that would have input to the public at that point. Because we would see it, but we wouldn't be able to act on it.
well, the committee does not have authorization to act.
Well, I'm not going to respond to them.
Yeah.
If I have input, I would have to reach out to you, channel that through you.
I believe the committee members are free to, any
Right.
committee member to
There's no Brown Act.
Yeah, you can't.
to contact staff
Oh.
Yeah.
for information. And
So I
typically,
can't, so there's no back and forth here with emails because of the Brown Act.
yeah,
I prefer not to do that.
yeah.
I'd like to get my issue, I'd like to hear the input from the rest of it that I'm not aware of. Maybe, to fine tune an idea. So. No, I prefer not to have it. That's just me.
Where I'm coming from is someone who is in facilities and had done multiple CBOC members. And in my mind, the reason why I always want full transparency with an email is in the event that the district wants to pass yet another bond, that we are being transparent. And that's why you are providing this email and this avenue for folks to provide their input. And let's face it, not everyone wants to come down here to attend the meeting. It's easier for the public to communicate via an email.
Is this the first time we've had an email on a bond? I mean,
don't-
we've had bonds before.
I don't believe that the previous bond CBOC website had an email address shown. I was not paying as close attention to the website prior to the convening of this CBOC.
Go ahead and stop you.
No.
To me, if the point you're bringing up is like an accessibility
Mhm.
type of thing,
Absolutely,
which
yeah.
if that's the case, couldn't it be something where maybe we have an email, but it's a submission for something on an agenda item and the email is reviewed here?
Totally.
Because that way, that it's just like okay, you can't be here, understood.
Yeah.
But you can submit something publicly, and maybe there's already a route to do this, but you submit something publicly, because I agree with Victor, what you're saying, like, if somebody wants to bring something up, it should happen within this meeting where we're not, if we create something with an email now, we are becoming accessible or open to something. And if for some reason there's some decision to have an email, I would think it should have like some sort of out of office reply with some of this legal language to where we're not obligated to do X, Y, Z, you're not communicating with us. But it does seem like it opens up an avenue to us getting embroiled in something where we have no business being potentially. So I could see something where there's an email and it's like.
In a way, we are already involved because we are in this committee. So you can't avoid that. So what I would suggest is have an email, but then respond to the email if a response is warranted through this meeting.
And to respond, but we're oversight as I
Yes.
look at. That's, we're not actionable. We don't take action.
We're not, but there
We're
are
not
questions that may come out.
Understood. And so I guess that even further then to me says an email is like another way to submit something for a public meeting.
I think that's good. I mean, in other words, I think what you're saying now is like somebody submits an email, meeting's a couple months away, it comes to us at that point, and they're aware of that. That's fine with me. That's fine with me. Because I'm aware of the accessibility issue, but I also don't want to have my thing hanging out there, So,
Without control or with
Yeah,
it, something
right.
festers for
So-
months and we don't even know about it. Yeah.
I attended a lot of meetings where I had to stand and wait in line for my issue to show up for hours. So I have not too much sympathy for people that don't want to do something because they can clickety clack and, cause a lot of problems while they're doing it.
It does bring up another point then though, how are they responded to? Does it, if they send an email, it gets on the agenda here, we talk it through. Is it where we then make a motion of like what your response would be to them or something like that? Or we're just like acknowledging that we have the email, we're reviewing it here, but that's the extent of it.
I think, council and staff can look at it prior to and have a recommendation for us, and we can
Mhm.
chew on it, That's
like
fine
that.
with me. There's no problem with that.
So Yeah, let me make a couple of comments and some suggestions. I think we do need to keep in mind that, again, the committee is an information sharing committee. It does not have action authority other than how our committee is presented in public. So I think what I would propose for this, listening to what everybody said, I would propose that we do retain the email. It's on the web. We put it on the website. We put it on the website with an informative statement that says emails are shared and read by the entire committee and the CBO. That and we take language from the public comment section that says, like public comment in the committee meetings, the committee cannot take action on any item
Non-agendized.
until it is agendized for a subsequent meeting, or and that your input has been shared with staff who can take the appropriate action and will advise both the correspondent and the committee of any action that has been taken. And then we can, so staff, we can be a pass-through to make sure that anything that is appropriate for staff to be reacting to that the public sent to us is passed along. We're not bringing any authority or action to it. It will be handled by staff in a timely manner. We will be informed of what staff has done, and we will receive our confirmation that the member of the public has had it confirmed. And I would say also then anything that kind of comes through there should be reflected in some manner in our public comment period of the next meeting, where we kind of quickly at least summarize what came in and what went back out from staff, but that it is not, and if it's something that does turn out to be a good germane question to our oversight function, then we consider adding that to the next agenda as a discussion item. All right. Does that solution give heartburn or sound like? So we recognize we are doing more than what council had recommended in evaluating all this, because we feel that transparency is very important and that we do want to encourage rather than discourage two-way communication with the district through, and that we are one potential channel for that should be encouraging it, but that we recognize that we do not have authority nor responsibility to take action other than to agendize as appropriate and discuss. Okay, so that was the good meat of all of this. So we will, I guess I'd like to direct that staff kind of work on pulling all of that together and kind of just check in with me that it did end up being what we've just kind of summarized and discussed here, and what we get going out onto the website is telling the public you've got an avenue of communication, but it's not a direct spur to action by the committee. All right. So between what you've seen on the website, what we've talked about, and this new direction, is everybody satisfied that we're kind of closed this well?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. So that is the direction we've got. And ready to move on and actually do the things that this meeting is about with half of it gone. But thank you for that. All right. The next action, number 6, is the annual reorganization. So like the school board, there should be an annual revisiting by the committee of the leadership positions of chair and vice chair. And in this particular case, we now do not currently have a vice chair, so it is all the more important or necessary. But on the board, president, vice president are matters of real organizational importance. The board has protocols around a potential rotation of roles and recommendations and a meaningful election each year for the roles. I do think we can recognize that this committee does not have the level, any sort of level of authority similar to a school board. Its single responsibility is producing an annual report annually and keeping the public informed. So with that, I would say we may choose that we don't need as much of a formal rotation of roles, but it certainly is within our purview to choose to do so. As having been elected and served as the first chair, I was obviously from this past discussion, there's a lot of things I'm trying to do very formally, and I'm viewing through the lens of board experience. I would be willing and happy to continue in the role, but I am also willing and happy for the committee to speak as a committee and go through that.
I would love to nominate you, Alan. Just you need to speed up a little bit, though.
Yeah. Okay. I'm too formal and too wordy.
Next time you're going to the back seat if you can't keep this thing moving.
Okay.
I would
Duly
second
noted.
that. No, I would second it.
Okay. Are there other nominations for chair? With that, all in favor of Alan as chair for the next year?
So moved.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. We now need an original nomination for co-chair.
Oh, you want to be it, John? Huh? I'll nominate John as the chair.
I was going to nominate Victor. I'm always impressed by what
He
you
was looking
say and
over
how
here
you.
and I thought you
Yeah.
wanted it.
Oh, uh-huh.
So we've got dueling nominations.
Looks like Joel's got all the power, huh?
All right, so I nominate John.
Oh, I was going to nominate Victor.
Yeah.
Sounds like John.
All
is
right.
it?
Well,
Well, we've got
Or
2-1. Rather than throw us into an unresolvable tie, I will go with John as well. And so we have at least 3 votes. Those in favor of asking John Shank to be our co-chair?
Aye.
Aye. You can say aye so that you
I
don't
vote
feel.
against myself. I think it doesn't matter.
That was a wrestling move, John.
I was impressed.
Little judo going on there.
All right, with that, we have at least 3 votes in favor for John. If you vote, it's a quorum.
I'll vote aye.
All right.
So it
All right.
doesn't look strange that I voted against myself.
Okay. I would suggest one potential change, which is I would like to add to or suggest adding to the responsibilities of the co-chair to join in with the chair and CBO in agenda planning. which for the most part we're doing on Zoom and we could commit to doing on Zoom. But it gives us two people who are aware of the issues that are under consideration for the meeting, and two people who are prepared with intimate knowledge to run the meeting if either one of them can't be there. And that's typically a half hour to an hour, 10 days or so before the meeting. So okay. That also is in line with how the board does it. And it helps out. All right. So we have that, and we can update. With looking at what's still up on the website, we should now have chair and co-chair added parenthetically to the members in those roles. All right. Our next action is a return to the fiscal 24-25 revenue and expenditures, which we reviewed last meeting and asked to come back for approval. So no information has changed in that. We have seen it and we have discussed it in depth last time. And if anybody has any further comments, we can bring them up. Otherwise, I would ask for a motion for approval of the 24-25 revenue and expenditures.
I brought this up last time with the classified salary. Imagine when you have costs like this is $71,000 for 25, 26 actuals. I think that's fine. It's got to be a lot, right? Where when somebody is actually working on a project, that you requiring bond funds, that they log in their hours if they're, if they're dealing with issues that have to do with the projects out there floating around. So I mean, you might have some experience in this in the past. It's a good job. But so so if you're going to come up with $71,000, how do we, as a bond committee, know how much of this is not emptying waste baskets and how much of this is actually issuing, time on a job site? So
Frequently, most districts have, for example, multi-funded project where there's general fund, bond funds, and potentially other funds to do a project. In that situation, bond funds, if you're staff doing bonds, you should only be concentrating on bond projects. In our situation, we do a timesheet.
Okay. So if there's a timesheet, can we find out just how many? Shouldn't we know a little more detail about that? In other words, I mean, how many, I don't know, are there overtime hours that go into classified work? I mean, I don't know if this number is a big number or a small number.
The project managers, they're not classified, they're management, correct? So they're not overtime. There's no overtime, and you're right. So it is what it is. You get a salary and
They're
that's
not
it.
classified though, are
They're
they?
not classified, they're
Okay,
management.
but this is classified salary.
The managers are under classified
Oh, they are.
expenditures.
Oh.
They're not certificated, but they're
Yeah.
classified.
Okay.
Now I would throw in that from what I've seen in our reporting, we have got roles listed as 0.4, 0.6, 0.5, a third, that basically their job role is defined as being a third or a half or some percentage of their time is dedicated to bond work. And so it's done at that level of a managerial planning. And
Should we know this as a bond? I mean,
it has been part of the presentation.
oh, it has.
Yeah.
So it has a list of all the classifications on the project and what their percentages are for their salary.
It might not be on the project, but it's their FTE is allocated to Measure W.
FTE?
Full-time employee.
Full-time.
Oh. Okay,
So one full-time, one FTE is one full-time person.
So basically, if you're a management level personnel, exempt from overtime and things, rather than time carding and dividing it up, after the fact, it is, okay, you're assigned to do these big project areas, and because they represent funding buckets, we're gonna say, okay, a third of your time should be going to bond activities,
okay.
and then you manage your
What do you
time.
guys think about that? I mean, do you guys want to get under the hood on this to find
Well,
out?
How granular do you want to get?
Well,
on this?
I mean, if somebody is a particular employee and the majority of his hours are on the project and his classification may not look like he would be that kind of guy that would be on the project. I mean, I would think that the public would want to know, is somebody on the payroll that shouldn't be on the payroll for using bond money? Okay, and that's all I'm saying here is, how do we as a bond committee review that material to say, yeah, everything looks good. You know, there's no red flags here. So, I mean, do you have anything like that you could just,
Provided a list of
Okay.
the,
you did,
it's in the, it was in the.
Agenda.
there's a list of, oh,
It's by job roles. It's not names of
Oh,
individuals that are on it.
oh, okay.
Can you put it up on the screen by chance so we could see what we're
Well, I
talking
mean-
about? Because to me, I agree with like looking, and the point you raised, I think
The job-
I like.
So it's a job roles, but I mean, do they have a classification through the district? I mean, is it their job role aligned with their classification?
I mean, the positions are identified. So you have a CFO, that's half,
Okay,
and then you have project manager, project engineer, financial analyst, construction tech,
okay,
and that
those guys all
defines.
look, I mean, they all look, so the chief facility officer, yeah, he's probably leaning into this, right? All right,
He's in charge of it.
all right, okay,
So he would probably show up on all projects, 'cause, I mean, he would have his fingers in all projects.
right.
And his position is a half full-time equivalent, essentially, right? And that's how it's billed to the project.
This is it? That's all of it? Okay. That's all. That's good. Where was that? I didn't see that.
It's in the agenda,
Oh, it's in the agenda?
or a part of the attachment in the agenda.
Oh. Okay,
It-
there it
yeah, it's been
is.
part of the presentations.
Okay,
It's nice
Thank
when you
you.
ask for something.
thank you. I
that's
think I asked for this and you got it for me. I just missed it. Now I'm wasting time.
there.
Okay, are there further questions, comments, or a motion for approval?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so with unanimous approval of the 24-25 revenue and expenditures, then we're able to move on to the appointment for the annual report subcommittee. And
We're talking
Okay.
about scheduling something?
no, this is preparing the annual report for the next meeting. So again, we went through going toward the goal of having our annual report to the board prior to March 31st, which is the deadline in Ed Code. We need to have a draft of the annual report prepared in time for our next meeting, when we will get the annual audit report. And that, combined with the draft of the annual report, will allow us to approve that annual report in March for presentation to the board in their next meeting in late March, and beat that March 31st deadline. And the last go round, I prepared the annual report alone, and then we all looked it over and approved it. And again, this is just basically putting together a subcommittee. It can be a subcommittee of one that basically reworks what we had last time to match the numbers that are in the annual revenue and expenditures that we just approved, to say this is what we have seen, what we have reviewed, and what we have approved. And then when we see the audit, that closes the door on it, and it's good to go to the board as our approval. Or again, we could have more than one person involved in that.
Well, you're the chair, and I think the bylaws say you can make any committee you want. So use that power.
Okay.
All right?
I would say based on having done the report, I can bring a report in for approval next time. And
Okay.
I looked at it. I did, as part of this website evaluation, I looked at a couple of our neighboring districts, San Mateo and Palo Alto. And they had their committee chair bring the annual report to the committee for review and approval. So I'm happy to continue with that.
Community College District has one too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So what I've heard is go ahead and have the chair do that, and it will be reviewed and approved by the committee at the next meeting. All right.
Alan,
Yeah.
a time check. We have half an hour left.
Yep. Yep. And we're about to get into the actual reasons we're here. So let us do a brief recognition for Christine. Thank you for being our liaison and our staff support.
The payroll then, huh?
So
would expect to see her there.
you are coming to retirement, but I believe you will still be around for a bit. Can you tell us kind of quickly what your arc of travel is here?
In January, I'm doing some traveling. When you said I'm being around, I'm doing some transition work with Janae.
All right. All right. And so Janae will be our CBO and our liaison to the committee, and we'll take on the new responsibility of trying to get me to shut up once in a while so we can move forward. All right. And we look forward to that as well. So thank you very much, Christine. And we hope that we do see a bit of you, but you really enjoy your next chapter.
You're going to love it.
Thank you for everything.
All right. With that, item 10, our financial quarterly update.
So this is a summary of our update. The committee has received all the details in the agenda packet. So as of November 26th of 25, we spent $3.2 million on Measure W projects. Each project is listed in the amount of expenditures that was used for each project. So this is a breakdown of expenditures from September to November. In terms of revenue, the board approved a new series and we received the funding, and that was for $132 million. So that's the revenue that you see plus first quarter interest. In terms of expenditures, we spent $3.1 million from September to November. So the net increase of the fund balance is 129 million, and the revenue minus expenditures. So as you can see, the fund balance 77, beginning fund balance was 77 or 78 million dollars plus the 129 million brings the ending fund balance to 207 million dollars.
That was 78. That was 78 million out of an original 80 million plus interest on that minus expenses. So we are clearly ramping up and getting our oars in the water and beginning to get some progress. And I believe that our progress report on Measure W projects will be very informative. Does anybody have any other questions about that that summary? Okay, thank you. We can move on to the report on Measure W projects. But you can't take it with you. Please don't.
Good evening to you all. Let's have the presentation is only covering the graphics of all the projects. I know you all were very keen to go to the site and see work to be done, but let me take you virtually the way the project is shaping up. The projects are shaping up. So the first one is Calmont High School T-wing. This is a rendering. This is exactly what the school will look like when it's done. Oh. This is existing at the moment. And I'm not used to this. So, I'll be better if you make full screen. But anyway, this is the rendering, what you see from the gymnasium side, from the weight room side. So this is a replacement building. We are replacing the T-wing.
Assistance.
I know.
Hopefully it should be able to page down.
And okay, that's fine. So this is a replacement building at Calmont. The existing building has got 15,166 square feet. The new building will be 23,123 square feet. So basically, it's almost not actually doubles, but it's much bigger than what it is now. It's a 3-story building in layers.
So it's more or less a mirror of the S-wing across the quad.
Yes, yeah. So as far as the project is concerned, the phase which is in now, it has completed its design development phase. We also had a community meeting, and the community is very excited about it. And there were good questions which were answered properly, and they're excited. We also are on the construction document process at the moment, and this will be one of the first major project probably to go in construction.
Is that a traditional delivery method?
It's
that you're
lease
doing?
back.
Oh, lease back.
All our projects, the major projects are lease back. The board approved all the leasing out yesterday. Yes.
Is the demo part of the construction
Yes, it's
in the schedule?
it's part of the construction. First it'll be demo, then see, this is the ground level, the first floor layout, second floor, third floor. And this is the schedule. We are hopeful that by February 2029, it'll be occupied. The next one is the multi-use field at Calmont High School. We are also finished with the CD at 650%. And this will be this will go ahead before the T building. And there's a lot of logistics involved. If you've been to Calmont, you would know that it's not the logistics of getting this constructed together with T wing building is not possible. So we are trying to schedule it, sequence it in such a way so that this is done first, or this is done almost 90%, then we start the demo of the T wing. So that's what the plan is all about. That's why we are rushing onto this. We have bypassed a few phases because of the competency of the designer and also the contributions from the stakeholders. They were very cooperative and complacent about a lot of stuff.
So will the demolition of T-Wing completely close down that driveway behind the building?
We were trying to find out a road on that road, the road further south up, and then having an access from the residential side for the field. But we have a problem there because, and then there'll be a problem because the large wheeled vehicles cannot go there.
There's an embankment from that cul-de-sac down to the field.
So it's difficult. So that's what we are looking into, all the aspects of the thing. So the logistics of construction is not simple. We're still trying to find out ways, means and methods and ways and means to get it done.
Is there any pathway or possibility of a new roadway on the back side of the S building around the other side of the quad?
We're looking into that.
Yeah.
So there are many options. We're looking into that, and
that may turn out to be the most creative and best way to do it, because then you'd end up having a complete circular traffic flow around the entire quad.
And the CEQA study is in progress. The CEQA is for the whole campus, so all the projects CEQA is covering all the projects in the campus.
How is artificial turf being received in this district?
So far, personally, I didn't have any complaints. I know there's a lot of skepticism regarding that. We are using not those typical synthetic carcinogenic materials. I've already had a discussion with the designer. So we will be using more of these other materials which are not carcinogenic. I know there's a lot of talk and a lot of articles have been written about this artificial turf. By 2027, the first quarter, that is the first quarter of the year, it should be occupied, closed out and occupied. And then we also have a plan for interim housing, because when the T-wing will be demoed, we need interim housing for the accommodation of the students for their typical and normal school activities. And the location of that has been identified by discussions with the principal and her team, and it'll be located near the gymnasium. So the senior students' parking lot will be affected. So that again will cause a lot of congestion out there.
Is the one behind the Scott's gym, is that called the senior students lot? I thought the senior lot was the big one below the admin and performing arts on the other side of the tennis courts.
No, I was told this is used by the for the seniors.
Okay, yeah, the terminology maybe.
Okay.
Is there also are you keeping in touch with the city of Belmont about the Alameda project?
So we had communication with them, we had meetings with them, and then all of a sudden it died out. It comes up and goes away. But what I decided now is that once I have a CEQA report all confirmed, done, I will route it to them. I'll send them a copy.
Yeah.
And they're also in our mailing list to inform them of all our development, whatever we're doing, so that whatever they do is all synced.
Yeah. So this will be in place until about 4 years from now, right? More or less.
Yeah, almost 4 years.
Okay. Yeah, I spoke with the city manager at an event like just last week, and he was saying, yeah, we're working on going somewhere with the Alameda project. All we need is to have all of the funding appear. And it's like, yeah, well, that's where you were 5 years ago. So they feel like they're on the brink of pulling the trigger if somebody will just magically give them a bunch of money.
There's the interim housing schedule, so the timing is well before the demolition takes place. The next project is the roofing replacement at Calmont. This is in phases, so the phase 2 will go in place during the summer. And this is not only roofing, but we are also touching the clear story windows because they are interlinked. So it's a non-DSA project, but we need an AOR for this project.
Just a question on this. Was this photo near the end of this summer's work and all of those white roofs are the new work? And then that one dark one near the bottom right is the last one that was in progress at the time of the photo? Okay.
And the roofing project is in three phases. So phase 2 will take place next year, summer, and the third one will be the following year, summer.
Okay, so that's summer of 27.
Yeah. And this is the selected roofs to be re-roofed. And Menlo Atherton High School. Menlo Atherton High School, the bleacher project is at DSA, should be coming out either tomorrow or next week or soon. And it should go for bid. It's a hard bid, it's not a lease spec. We're planning, if we get it by the end of December, we're planning to bid that out sometimes in February or March so that we get the good quality contractors on board. More bidders, the better we will be in terms of costs. So that could be the first bond project, DSA approved bond project. We have done the roofing this year summer, which was also bond projects. And the bleacher project is scheduled to be, it will be the 2027, January, December. The next one is the new D&E wing building. The new D&E building, the square footage existing square footage was 13,960. The new building will be 30,800. So we are incorporating both the two buildings and making it into a 3-story building. I mean, having a 3-story building replace that existing building. And we had spent a lot of time on this. This has been a really lengthy design phase as far as the project assessment phase was concerned, because there are so many moving parts to this as far as the users are concerned.
Yeah, looking at the drawing and what we saw of the major project at Carmont, the feedback I have heard across the district from anybody who's talked about this is that increasingly our campuses are looking like community college campuses, and that the students are feeling a sense of advancement and empowerment that is tremendous. So to me, the particular kinds of expenses the district is investing into this kind of work is being deeply appreciated by the public. And it's one of the things that makes me proud about being associated with the district. So
that is very motivating. Thank you.
I'm very glad to see this continuing.
It is a 3-story building, and that's the rendering. That's how it'll look from one of the elevations. And this is the layout. And the project should be completed in 2029, the second half of 2029. It is not the slowest, it is the in the range of the sequence of the project is Calmont, Sequoia, or Sequoia, Calmont, and then Woodside, then Menlo Atherton, because Menlo Atherton is still in the DD phase. It's pretty. We started this late, and there are many more moving parts to this project. I mean, to this site basically. And then we also doing the weight room. The weight room was one of the. This was supposed to be in the second phase, but there was a lot of demand from the stakeholders, so we moved to the first phase. This is the layout of the weight room. It's not only the weight room, we are also modernizing the adjacent athletics complex.
There seem to be a lot of ways in which the athletics tail is wagging the dog at MA.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is 2028, second quarter. This should be done or could be earlier. Sequoia High School. This is the new building. This is, we're not replacing any building. This is a total new building. And the square footage for this is 15,477 square feet. It is also finished with the SD phase. Now we are on the DD phase. And then this will be this could be a project which could be approved by DSA much quicker because it's a new building, no demolition, and it's a standalone building. So part of travel and other, associated issues are not much of an issue at DSA.
And remind me again, does the availability of these additional classrooms basically relieve Sequoia of needing temporary housing as we go through the main building?
We are trying, we are hopeful. It all depends on the stakeholders because once the building is done, then the principals have the bright ideas they always run short of space. So let's see what happens. I'm optimistic not to have temporary housing. We have that in the budget, but if you don't have it, it's a savings. We can use it for other projects.
In all the projects you've shown a DSA timeline of 9 months. How confident are you, particularly since it's a new code cycle in January and everyone's submitting their projects to DSA to beat the new code cycle?
Because the DSA now would be loaded with so many applications because of the code cycle. And we had meetings with DSA for all the projects, individual meetings. Due to the nature of the projects, I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic. Yeah, I know. It's DSA is. We don't have any control over that, but let's keep our fingers crossed.
I would imagine we have more confidence in a pregnant woman meeting a 9-month schedule, but
yeah, it's. We already had meetings, so a lot of issues will not be trivial issues, won't come up because we are addressing it now. And since it's lease back, and since we got the approval yesterday, we'll have the contractors kick off with the architects when we come back after the holidays. 1 week kicking off next week, basically. We can't wait. I don't have time. I just don't want to wait.
What are your contractors and your consultants saying about the effects of the labor shortage and tariffs on construction?
What's that?
What are your consultants and your contractors saying about the effects of tariffs and the labor shortage on construction timelines?
We had studies carried out by Vena. I got good relationship with them, and also Kitchell, our consultants. There's not much of a spike, despite all the rumors we have, or not the rumors, whatever we had on the news about tariffs and all this. But there is no major spike. It is a typical escalation, which is very, steady at the moment. That's why it's better to hook up with a lease-back contractor. The sooner, the better, so that there is a commitment by them. And then we can also carry out value engineering if you are, exceeding the budget and going beyond what we have. Roof replacement phase 1. We have done. This is a picture. We've already done. And then phase 2 will take place next summer, 2026. We are working on that. It's non-DSA project, and we are adamant not to have an architect on board for this. It was a replacement in kind, basically. So this one, we don't have an architect. So we are trying to save costs. We're doing in-house. And these are the roofs which will be replaced. Woodside High School, this is the rendering of what the school will look like. This is also a 3-story building, and this is a replacement of one of the wings. That is E-wing. The square footage of the existing E-wing is 12,619 square feet. And the new building, this one will have 23,380 square feet. So it's much bigger than what they had before. This is another view of the rendering. And this is the first floor plan with classroom, general ed classrooms. Second floor, college and career center on the second floor. And the third floor. And that is also 2029 for occupancy. Now roof replacement, we didn't do any roof replacement last year because we had this HVAC project going on. So we'll be starting with phase 1 this year at Woodside. Again, it's without an architect, it's all done in-house. These are the roofs will be changed. And this is the overall program schedule. We're trying to stick to that, and it's very contingent, but let's hope we can meet the milestones. Any questions?
Any solar on your roof?
Okay.
Any solar on your roof?
Solar is mandatory.
It is.
Solar is mandatory required by DSA, but we did an assessment for Woodside. Woodside, we don't need solar because we comply with that. I mean, it's okay. We will have solar. Other sites, the roof design and everything has to be done for DSA approval, but we can always not do it.
So
But we have budget for that.
is it going to be part of your presentation somewhere down the line? Or it's something that's not even in the bond?
It is in the bond. We have allocation. We got budget allocation in the bond, and it's also in the master plan. But since it's $5 million each at each site in the 4 comprehensive sites, but we are not doing Woodside because Woodside has got enough solar. And we are also trying to review Menlo Atherton and Sequoia.
You don't have a schedule for it then?
No, it's not a separate project.
Oh, it isn't.
What DSA requires now, it has to be part of the major project. Like the new building we're doing, we have to do solar on the roof of that building.
I just don't see it in the plan view.
No, it's not done yet. We are on the DD phase.
Okay.
So it will be shown because the roofs have to have the right kind of structure to support the solar panels and all this, the infrastructure of the solar system. And all will be done. And then should we go on a route of, basically we will go back to do solar if we have to do solar or if we want to do solar, but definitely probably not in the projects we're doing at the moment to incorporate solar. We had a meeting with DSA on that.
So to summarize what I just heard there, all of the new buildings that are going up except Woodside
Right.
must have and will have solar as part of the project of building the new building. And then existing buildings will be a separate reevaluation at a future date to see if we want it, if we need it, and if the structures will support it.
So there's a Cal Green requirement. DSA has got this green requirement now that all new buildings should have allocation for solar support. So all our buildings will have the structural design incorporated in that. Now, should we install solar panels? That's something we'll have to decide. But at the moment, all the 4 projects, we cannot escape it because it's a requirement by DSA.
Okay. Are the roofing replacement projects that are going on, do those include a structural evaluation for suitability for solar installation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we'll come up with a prioritized list of how ready candidate buildings are for future decision making.
Yes.
Okay. That's great.
Would it be cheaper to have solar above parking lots as opposed to retrofitting a building
Yeah.
for structural?
So there are 2 ways. I mean, you can put it on the roofs or on the parking lots. Typically, you'll see all the parking lots have got the solar canopies all over the place, which provide shade and all this. A lot of people like it, but a lot of users don't like it because it creates too much shade. They lose the what do you call that? The feeling of sunlight.
Yeah, I know the prior principal at Woodside was totally up in arms about the solar project in their parking lot, even if it's saving some construction costs on buildings now. a little plus and minus there. All right, other questions from committee? Thank you very much for that
Thank you.
presentation. Oh, look at that. Staff got us back on track. Thank you very much. And I swear I'll keep trying to get better. Do any committee members have announcements or reports to make?
Nothing here. Yeah. Nothing here.
Okay. Now, I hope everybody does get a real good wind down, relaxation, family time over the winter break. Get far away. And with that, if I hear a motion for adjournment, we'll be 2 minutes ahead.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor, stand up and leave.
Aye.
Thank you all.